Imagine Europe in the late 18th century, a continent on the brink of radical change. The French Revolution, a period of extreme political and social upheaval, has just kicked off. As the guillotine falls and the monarchy crumbles, the rest of Europe looks on with a mix of fear and fascination. The old order is being dismantled, making room for new ideas, new systems, and new leaders. In the midst of this chaos, a young and ambitious military officer in the French army sees an opportunity. His name is Napoleon Bonaparte. Born to a modest family in Corsica, Napoleon is not of noble blood, but what he lacks in pedigree, he makes up for in ambition, intellect, and a ruthless drive to succeed. He sees the revolution not as a disaster, but as a chance to rise, to shape his own destiny, and perhaps the destiny of France itself. Into this world steps a man who would change the course of history, Napoleon Bonaparte. Picture the year 1796. Napoleon, a mere 26 years old, is given command of the French army in Italy. His mission? To drive out the Austrian forces and reclaim the Italian peninsula. But it's not just about territory. It's about proving his military prowess, showcasing his strategic genius, and solidifying his place in history. The first significant encounter of the Italian campaign is the Battle of Montenotte. Napoleon, ever the tactician, cleverly exploits the divide in the Austrian forces, launching a swift and sudden attack that catches them off guard. The Austrians are overwhelmed. Montenotte is a resounding victory for the French, and it marks the beginning of Napoleon's meteoric rise. Next we find ourselves at the Battle of Lodi. Napoleon's forces engage the Austrians at the Adda River, where a single bridge becomes the focal point of an intense struggle. Napoleon, displaying his characteristic audacity, leads his men across the bridge under heavy fire. His courage and determination inspire his men, and they seize the bridge, turning the tide of the battle in their favor. Lodi is hailed as a heroic victory, and Napoleon earns the moniker the Little Corporal. The Battle of Rivoli is perhaps the most illustrative of Napoleon's military genius. Here he uses a strategy of concentration of force against an enemy divided in detail, effectively isolating and defeating the Austrian forces in piecemeal fashion. It's a masterclass in strategic warfare, and it cements Napoleon's reputation as one of the greatest military minds of his time. With the conclusion of the Battle of Rivoli, the Italian campaign draws to a close. Napoleon's innovative strategies and bold leadership have led the French to a series of decisive victories. He has reshaped the map of Europe, but more than that, he has reshaped the narrative of his own life. He is no longer just Napoleon Bonaparte, an ambitious young soldier from Corsica. He is now Napoleon, the conqueror, the military genius, the hero of France. With these victories, Napoleon had not only conquered Italy but also the hearts of the French people. In 1798, Napoleon embarked on a new adventure, a campaign in Egypt. An endeavor driven by dreams of emulating the grandeur of Alexander the Great, Napoleon ventured into the desert sands, leading his troops into the historic Battle of the Pyramids. This battle, although a victory for the French, was merely a mirage of success in the vast desert of challenges that lay ahead. Napoleon's ambitions were grand, seeking to disrupt British trade routes to India and establish a French presence in the East. Yet, the reality of the situation was far more arduous. Plagued by the British Navy, disease, and logistical issues, the campaign began to crumble. The Jewel of the Nile eluded Napoleon's grasp, and in 1801 the French were forced to withdraw. Despite the failure, this expedition would have long-lasting impacts, not least on Napoleon himself. It was a lesson in the limits of ambition, a pivotal moment in his life, shaping the leader he would become. Fast forward to 1805, Napoleon is now the Emperor of the French and is leading his army against the Third Coalition. The stakes are high, the tension is palpable, and the stage is set for one of the most iconic battles in history, the Battle of Austerlitz. In the heart of Europe, near the town of Austerlitz in present-day Czech Republic, Napoleon's forces face an alliance of Russian and Austrian troops. Despite being outnumbered, Napoleon remains far from daunted. He is a chess master on the battlefield, always thinking several moves ahead. Considered by many as his greatest masterpiece, Napoleon's strategy at Austerlitz is a testament to his genius in military tactics. Instead of relying on brute force, he employs a clever ruse, feigning weakness to lure his enemies into a trap. He deliberately weakens his right flank, enticing the Allies to attack and pull their forces away from their strategic high ground. As the Allies take the bait, Napoleon strikes. He launches a fierce assault on the now vulnerable enemy center, splitting the Allied army in two. In a brilliant display of tactical prowess, he outmaneuvers a larger enemy force, causing confusion and disarray within their ranks. The result is nothing short of a decisive victory for the French. The battle lasts less than 9 hours, but its impact is immense. The Third Coalition crumbles, and the French Empire emerges as the dominant power in Europe. The Battle of Austerlitz showcases Napoleon's ability to turn the tide of battle, to seize victory from the jaws of defeat. His bold strategies and innovative tactics change the course of warfare forever. The battle becomes a symbol of Napoleonic warfare, encapsulating his aggressive style, his audacity, and his extraordinary leadership. Austerlitz is not just a battle, it's a statement. It's a message to the world that Napoleon is not just a ruler, but a force of nature, a master of the battlefield. His triumph at Austerlitz cements his reputation as one of history's greatest military tacticians. By 1812, Napoleon, at the height of his power, made a fatal mistake. A decision that would prove to be his undoing: the initiation of the Russian campaign. His plan was to force Russia back into the continental system by capturing Moscow. However, he underestimated the harsh Russian winter and the strategic retreat tactics of the Russian army. As Napoleon's Grande Armée marched eastward with over 600,000 men, they were met with deserted cities, scorched earth, and dwindling supplies. The Russians, under the command of General Kutuzov, refused to engage in a major battle, instead opting for a scorched earth strategy, burning their own lands and resources to deprive the French army. By the time Napoleon reached Moscow, it was a deserted city, devoid of any resources. His army, once mighty and formidable, was now reduced to a fraction of its original size, weakened by hunger, cold, and disease. Napoleon waited for a Russian surrender that never came, and with winter closing in, he had no choice but to order a retreat. This retreat turned into a disaster. The brutal Russian winter, along with constant harassment from Russian troops, took a heavy toll on the French forces. By the time they crossed the Berezina River, only a fraction of the Grande Armée survived. Fast forward to 1815, the Battle of Waterloo. Here, Napoleon, exiled and then returned, faced off against the Allied forces of Britain and Prussia. Despite his tactical brilliance, the odds were against him. After a fierce day of fighting, the arrival of Prussian reinforcements tipped the scales in favor of the Allies. Napoleon's army was defeated and he was captured and exiled to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic. In 1815 at Waterloo, the Napoleonic era came to a dramatic end. A series of strategic miscalculations had led to Napoleon's downfall, marking the end of his reign and a significant turning point in European history. Napoleon's impact, however, extended far beyond the battlefield. As we delve into the depths of Napoleon's legacy, we find ourselves amidst a sea of reforms, many of which still resonate in the French society of today. As an administrative visionary, Napoleon restructured France's legal system, introducing the Napoleonic Code. This code, based on Roman law, embodied principles such as equality before law and the right to choose one's profession. It was a revolutionary departure from the traditional privileges and mores of the Ancien Regime, and it remains the foundation of French civil law to this day. Education, too, was an arena of profound change under Napoleon. He established a state-controlled educational system, a novelty at the time, to create a merit-based society. This system not only provided a consistent curriculum across the country, but also allowed talented individuals from less privileged backgrounds to rise through the ranks, a testament to Napoleon's belief in meritocracy. Napoleon's influence, however, wasn't confined to the borders of France. His military strategies continued to be studied in military academies around the globe. His use of mobility, speed, and the element of surprise revolutionized warfare, while his focus on morale and the importance of the psychological aspect of warfare still holds sway. Then there's the myth of Napoleon, the self-made man from humble beginnings who rose to unprecedented power. This narrative, carefully crafted by Napoleon himself, has become a potent symbol of ambition and the possibilities of individual achievement. It is a narrative that continues to inspire and fascinate, adding an air of romanticism to the otherwise harsh realities of his life and reign. In the grand tapestry of history, Napoleon Bonaparte's thread is a bold one. His influence can be seen in everything from the legal systems that govern our societies, to the military strategies that dictate global conflict, and even in the narratives we tell ourselves about power and possibility. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man of humble beginnings, a man of war, a man of reform, continues to cast a long shadow over our world.